And welcome to another edition of DT Live. Give me just a second, guys. I am running way behind here. I just actually sat down at my computer. I know I'm a couple of minutes late. I got tied up somewhere this morning and just walked in the door about 5 minutes ago, and I was really trying to get everything straight here. Alright. Dan, how's it going?
It's going well.
First things first, anybody that's watching in the chat, let me know if the audio levels are good. Like I said, I just sat down at my computer just a couple of minutes ago. I was running really late. I knew I had this scheduled for 10 o'clock, but I had just walked into my house like 5 minutes ago, so didn't have anything ready. So it's like Big Pod is about to join us as well. Yeah, the audio is fine, says Serge. Great. Alright. Give me just a second. Alright. So this will be another free and open chat. Anybody can join. You guys that want to join, I did post the link to the Zoom video conference chat. I posted it both in the YouTube chat, and I also posted it in the show description. So feel free to join us. Any topic's fine today. Got nothing planned. Just gonna kill a couple of hours before the games at noon. So got about 2 hours. Hopefully this week goes better than last week, huh, Dan?
Yeah. That wasn't good for you, was it?
No, that was frustrating to watch.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Yep.
Cool. How are you, Derek? Everything okay there?
Yeah, doing good. How you doing, Alistair?
Yeah, I'm doing same. As always.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Yeah.
So I'm going to quickly catch up with some of the chat, and there's already quite a bit of chat going on when we got here. A lot of good mornings and hellos from Daniel and Meme Computer Tips. He was waiting for 9 hours. Wow.
That's extreme.
Please review Puppy Linux. Yeah, eventually. Keep getting a lot of requests about Puppy. I got to take a look at it eventually. And, of course, folks helping me out with the audio. The audio is fine. This is the stream buffering. Let me check out stream health. It looks good in YouTube, and it looks good in OBS. I've got green and both.
Was earlier. It's not now. It seems to be okay. Hello, Clinton. Good to see you.
Hello.
All right.
Me?
Yeah, Climby, how's it going?
It's going good. I just finished installing the Draugr OS, so.
Yeah, that was
Which one?
interesting, huh?
How's that going?
Yeah.
Draugr OS.
Yeah, I haven't taken a look at that one. How was that for you, Climby?
So far so good. I had a weird grub error when I was installing it, but then I rebooted and it worked fine. So
Yep,
Yeah.
Same here.
yeah.
I can't remember if I had a good better when I installed it. I know I done it through VirtualBox when I was doing the video for it, but I can't remember if I had a good better.
Yeah, Present Arms. I see you're a little more active on your channel, too. I've watched a couple of your videos recently, so good
Oh,
that
very
you're...
cool, Derek.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
getting you.
I love seeing more people, put out good Linux content.
No, I'm
We don't-
trying. I'm trying.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
just trying to be unique in my own way.
Well, everybody's going to be unique in their own way. We all have different experiences, backgrounds. We all have our own voice.
Oh, definitely. Definitely.
So-
The thing, what I was thinking of doing actually is the more obscure distros, because everybody seems to cover the Ubuntu's and the Mates and the Debians and so on. So I'm thinking just going further down the distro watch list to the ones that aren't loved, and just to see what they're about, basically,
Yeah.
That's my plan.
Well, if you want to get really out there, look on like the distro watch waiting list. things
Yeah.
that are not really
Yeah.
on DistroWatch. And of course, you get folks that are creating their own little custom respins that even
Oh,
DistroWatch
absolutely.
doesn't even know about. If you dig on SourceForge, you'll find a lot of weird stuff. So,
Yeah, that's true. That's very true.
but of course, some of those projects will be dead projects. It's like
Oh, yeah.
you know, I fight with this sometimes. I'll come across something interesting, but if it hasn't had a release, in like over a year, then you have to start wondering: is the dev ever gonna make another release? So do I
Yeah,
want to
some
waste my
people do
time
take
on
a
something?
break, though.
Yeah,
They do take a break. I,
yeah.
I did with mine for about a year, I think it was.
hmm
And I came back to it.
I mean, we've had some major distributions actually take quite long breaks. Was it Linspire
Yeah,
that had
Linspire took
that
Yeah.
was gone for
years
a few
straight.
years?
You know, so
No,
to
few
get back,
years.
yeah.
Yeah, so
Absolutely, yes.
yeah, it does happen.
Linspire and Linspire. Hello, Dan. Welcome in.
Hey,
Good
dude.
morning, Dan. He may not be able to hear us just yet. He just popped in.
Yeah. You'll sort your sound out.
No.
Good
No
morning.
mic at the moment.
I'm fighting with everything this morning.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was on-
Normally.
I was on Manjaro for about a week.
My favorite.
Yeah, mine too.
Well, at least I say it's my favorite. It's what I'm on now, so it's my favorite right now. So.
Yeah, exactly.
My Manjaro install crapped out about an hour ago, and it says it can't find the display manager. So it won't boot. So I don't know how to fix it.
What desktop environment and display manager?
XFCE. And
Probably
I'm not
using
sure
Light
what they
DM.
use for that.
Yeah. Was it Light DM?
Don't know.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
It was the latest XFCE download.
Yeah. Was it like a stable release for them or? you
Yes.
weren't- Okay.
That's their
Just making sure you
flagship.
weren't. Yeah. I mean, it's their standard edition, but they do, offer a couple of different like they offer some testing snapshots.
Is there something called Vaha that works with that, or is that just some kind of server program
Baja.
that they got in
Not
there?
Sure.
AVAHA.
Oh, Avahi.
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 That's a discovery protocol for like discovering your printers and like Chromecast stuff like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
What happens if you... Can you get to a command prompt? Like,
Yeah.
with
No.
it all? No.
it won't boot that far.
It doesn't
Well, if you
do
can't,
that far.
wow, if you can't get to a command prompt, there's something more serious.
That was
Isn't,
more broken than the broken next year.
yeah, because if you can't even like log in to a prompt, yeah, your system is hosed in a major way probably.
Wow, I've been using Manjaro for about a week now. This is the second time I've had a bomb out like this.
Yeah, yeah, that's strange because of course I'm not using XFCE. I'm not really using anything that Manjaro puts out as a normal edition. This is my Frankenstein build here, but yeah, I mean I use Light DM and of course Xorg. I mean I'm in a graphical environment. I've never had a Xorg break on me or anything like that. Yeah, that's strange. So.
Well, yours is custom built the way you like it. I just downloaded it and used what came with it.
Right. Well, I took the i3 edition, which is very minimal, and then I got rid of i3 and put the tiling window managers I wanted to use on it. And before that, I used the KDE edition. I lived in that for about a month, and it didn't break until I broke it. I removed KDE and all its dependencies because I was so
Whoops.
frustrated with it.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm actually running the KDE version.
That's smart.
And then I installed OpenBox alongside it, so I've got two different.
Yeah.
I still need to try Manjaro. I've tried Arco and Mainline Arch, but I've never tried Manjaro.
Yeah, Manjaro is going to be a little easier for the most part than most other Arch distros. The install is really nice, for example, if we compare two really kind of user-friendly Arch distros, Manjaro and Antergos, wow, one's installer is like 10 minutes, you're done, and it always works, and then the other's installer is forever and a day if it works. Most of the time it doesn't work, so...
Yeah.
I really wanted to like it.
Hello.
I really did, but
Yeah.
if it keeps breaking on me, it's kind of pointless.
Right.
How you doing, DistroTube?
Hey, how's it going? You doing good?
Hi, Ricky.
Hey, I'm doing good. I just put peppermint nut and peppermint back on my laptop.
Nice. That's solid.
Any reason why?
Well, I've pretty much been testing Ubuntu Unity on it, and it's good, but I miss peppermint to death, so I went back to peppermint for a while.
Oh, I thought it was something that was going around, like distros breaking today.
No.
My Manjaro finally gave out.
Peppermint was the first modern Linux distro that I've ever used.
Well, same here with Mint.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Good morning.
Don't know if I'm being heard or not. I can't hear anybody.
Yeah.
I can hear you.
I can hear you as well.
Yeah.
So, Dan, have you
I'll
tried
actually try
the Cup of Linux Manjaro edition?
I downloaded it and put it in a VM and played with it for a week or two, and then I went and got the official Manjaro release XFCE from their website, and I actually last weekend installed it, and this weekend it died.
Yeah.
It
Yeah, that's
died.
really weird. Yeah.
The display manager decided not to be there anymore.
Oh no!
And did this happen? I'm assuming it happened after an update. You updated and rebooted.
No, I didn't. I just got up this morning, turned on the computer, and all of a sudden had a fight to deal with.
Oh, that's really weird too. Because if you
Well-
didn't do any kind of system update, I don't know. Yeah.
Well, I have another laptop hard drive somewhere in this room. When I find it, I'm going to use that secondary hard drive that I have, which is only 60 gigabytes. I'm going to use that for distro hopping.
There you go.
Yeah, that's basically what I do, Ricky, to be honest. I have a spare drive, and that thing's been punished with so many distros.
Because the drive on my laptop is a 500 gigabyte drive.
Yeah.
Hello, Derek. It's Murray. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you. Bring your volume up a little bit, Murray.
Okay, I will do that.
Yeah,
I'll
that's a bit
try.
better.
One moment. Okay,
I didn't even check my audio settings today, thinking about it.
I have an interesting story about Antergos.
Yeah.
Oh, this is the morning for them.
Well, Dan has shared his Manjaro horror story. Let's hear about Antergos.
I downloaded a new release just 2 hours ago. The previous one was September 2 months ago and this month. So I downloaded it using a torrent. Everything went well. Got to the install process. Went through the install. Okay. Up to the point where you're actually doing the install. It went through select your country, select your language, select your partitioning, select everything. Turn window, click, you get actual install window, and you get malware.
Oh my God!
Malware, yeah, from a torrent. Yeah, you got to be careful where you.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean, I have a torrent up, and it's on.
yeah, that's
I don't even use storage anymore.
It came up with thank you for you've won a free 1 year subscription to Netflix. Thank you for selecting Safari, which I didn't.
Wow. Safari.
Safari, an
Fantastic.
Apple browser.
Thank you, but no thank you.
But it said get your free account. You have
Wow.
$1 shipping fee
Yeah.
for Netflix.
Hey, Murray, bring up your audio a little more. You're still a little quiet. And just real quick, Matthias in the chat. Thank you for that super chat, buddy. Appreciate it. It says, "Hello, Derek and friends." Smiley face.
Carmine was live not long ago.
No.
And it won't let you finish the install. It won't let you tap that screen. So I'm downloading the actual one from their website, not the torrent.
Yeah,
Okay.
If you get a torrent, make sure the link is from like the Antragos website, or maybe if you're getting a torrent link from DistroWatch. So
the torrent was from their website.
It was from their website. Wow. Then
God.
You should report it to them so that they know that they have.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make sure the hash sum check on those, or checksum checks out on those. Yeah. I've got plenty of them where I've downloaded them just straight from like a distro website, and some checks still didn't. The checksum still didn't check out.
Yeah, and check the signature.
Yeah, just about download as well, though.
Mm-hmm. And real quick, Bread Moth in the chat, he has a super chat. He has a question. He wants to ask Serge in the chat, but we can also ask anybody that wants to comment on it. How do you feel about Article 11 and Article 13 being passed in the EU? How would this affect linking to articles about Linux, code, ISOs, etc.? I don't know.
And
really
in my personal opinion, I don't think it's really anything we need to worry about. I don't think it's going to be a major deal.
Well, here's the thing. Obviously, those of us in the U.S. are probably not that worried about it. But should we be? I mean,
I am.
Yeah. Well, it depends if
I don't.
Moves up elsewhere.
Same idea.
Comes here.
Yeah.
I'm from EU, so I'm really worried.
Yeah. And
but personally, I think it's not going to be that much of a problem. But if someone interpreted it wrong, it could be. But personally, I think that some kind of law about copyright and stuff like that needs to be in Europe, because Europe is mostly, let's say, Wild West.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What strikes me about all these, new proposed laws, about the internet, is, hasn't the internet always been fine? I can't remember since the beginning of the internet. I've never thought, wow, I really wish the internet was different. Can somebody regulate this thing?
A problem about internet they have is all the copyright stuff. Basically,
yeah, but you can't stop, people.
Yeah, but
just goes to a store.
You can at least try to regulate it. That's what EU tries to do, because music companies and movie companies are pressuring them to put out some kind of laws to protect their interests, so to say, because customers download their movies, their music. But the funny thing is, I ask myself all the time, why then they put their music onto YouTube?
Yeah.
Well, they don't always
download it.
Yeah. They don't always put the music on YouTube. You usually see that third parties will put different music up that isn't even released on YouTube as an official video.
Here in my country, every musician puts their own music on YouTube because that's how they promote it. Most
it's
put there by the music companies, not the musicians, the music companies. And actually, I asked one company why they do it, and they said because it makes a good promotion.
Yeah, it's all about discovery. I mean, if you're not on YouTube, you're really not anywhere as far as
Hey guys,
you're gonna put a video out. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, whoever that was, we heard you.
It's the robot.
All right, the robot.
All right, Mr. Robot, how are you doing?
I'm good, thanks.
Silent robot.
Not so silent.
Yeah.
Hello, can people hear me?
Yeah, we've got you too, Christopher.
Yes.
You sound good.
Okay.
All right. Surprisingly, no audio issues with anybody today. This is a first.
Well, the reason why I don't have audio issues anymore, if you can see this, Derek, this is a new microphone.
Yeah, cool.
It's a Logitech. I got this thing off of eBay for $5.75.
Nice.
Yeah, nice. You were.
Yeah.
I just literally downloaded Zoom and installed it 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, Zoom is a pretty quick install. Yeah.
Oh, I just used the app package for that, darling.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just using my phone. From the Moto G First Edition.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like using.
I've got a G5 Plus.
Yeah, the Logitech products, they just work. I've got a Logitech keyboard, Logitech mouse. Had a Logitech webcam. Well, I still have a Logitech webcam. Really nice webcam, that 922.
Yeah.
The headsets work. Logitech's a good company.
That microphone you have, Derek, what type of microphone is that?
This is a Blue Yeti.
Oh, nice. Very nice.
No. It's a USB mic.
I also noticed, Derek, that you've changed your intro over the past few days.
Oh, yes. I didn't even give anybody an intro. Let's give it to the folks watching on the stream.
I think you just jumped in.
That,
That's a good cue. There we go. They just got the intro.
And
I actually
no serious when they do half of
magical.
the story, then they do intro.
Gotta love it.
You might hear an echo in a minute. Oh, bear with me.
Yeah, I actually played around with that intro too a little bit yesterday, trying to tweak it. I actually slowed the animation down a little bit and added a couple of more seconds of music to it.
Yeah.
So it's a little different than it was the last time.
You did a bit abruptly last time,
Yeah. So changed a couple of things on it.
The one thing I like about the Zoom client is I'm on their website right now, and the client is compatible with so many different devices.
Yep. That's the thing with Zoom is it's available on Windows, Mac, Linux, Android, iPhone.
There's even a web version for any web browser to use.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wait, there is a web version of this?
Yes, there is.
Extensions for browsers.
Yeah, if you type in the full link that Derek gives into a web browser, you can connect that way. You don't actually download the client if you don't want to.
Oh, then I just installed it on Linux for nothing. But hello, everyone.
Well, I don't know about that. I've actually never used the web client. The web browser. I always use the standalone client because sometimes you don't want to.
And the thing about the client, it's available in almost any repository you could find.
Yeah.
I looked everywhere in Ubuntu's main repository, and I couldn't find it, so I had to literally install it via deb package.
There's a flat pack too, I think.
Right.
Yeah, it's a flat pack.
Right. I actually
Not for me.
tried to install the deb package on a laptop, and it didn't work. To be fair, that laptop's very flaky.
I think
Now
I'm
on some
using a
distros,
web
what you can do.
package now.
Now Zoom has a like a little standalone package. You just unzip it. Everything's contained in one folder. You just execute whatever and you don't have to worry about debs and Flatpak and all that.
Just execute the Zoom launcher.
Because that's what I have to do on some distros that I run. Like if I put something like Slackware on one of these laptops or something, I'm not going to find a Slack pack for So.
Yeah, no, I've used that too on various different distros, and that works fine.
Yeah, it
I got
works.
a question.
Yeah.
Derek, is there a way I can get my information, some of my files off my Manjaro install? I got like a week of American trucking.
Well,
you're
Live CD.
Yeah, you're going to have to use a live image, a live USB or live.
Yeah, because I have it plugged in now, but I can't open that drive at all. Won't mount it.
Did you use any kind of encryption on it? Like, what's it
I didn't encrypt nothing.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Then you might have a problem with.
Yeah, it might be the drive.
Drive or the file system.
Yeah, because
have you done a let's check against it?
And Dan, I don't want to scare you, but if you rebooted the machine without doing an update and it wouldn't come up, it might be hardware related. So that drive may be going
quite
bad
possibly.
on you.
It's a brand new drive.
I know.
Yeah, but it still happens.
RM8, my friend. RM8. What brand is it?
Western Digital.
Ooh,
It's a 1 terabyte SSD.
And
it's a 3-year warranty.
Yeah, those should be good.
Oh,
Yeah,
no, it's SSD. Yeah,
really. It's probably hardly drive failure. At least what I see with Western Digital.
I actually had the opposite problem with Manjaro. It would not open and go and mount my Linux Mint drive at all. These are all on separate hardware drives. They're not.
Yeah.
They're all not intermingled to boot.
Yeah. What I would do actually, Dan, is unplug the SSD from the cables, and then use a different cables, if you like, with another one. Just unplug one of your other hard drives and use a different SATA port, and then try and boot it. It could be just a connection or something like that, or a bad
change
SATA
cable, and if you can, and change the port. That might help.
Yeah, change the SATA port.
Yeah.
Or make sure the cable's
Manjaro
fully
won't mind
connected.
that. It could just boot
Yeah.
anyway.
And if you absolutely have to, Dan, you might want to consider, since it's hardware related, you might want to consider changing the distro you're on.
I did that this morning. I'm on the Mint again. So I could get on and visit you guys.
Well,
I'm not going to be out a lot. I'm only going to be out of a week of gaming and maybe a few emails, and that's it.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, one of the things, and I got this off of eBay just recently, basically, I'm going to be replacing my laptop hard drive with this. What this is this is a well, basically, it looks like it is a hard drive, but this thing takes a compact flash card.
Yeah.
So there's no spinning platter or anything. So any distro you throw at this thing, it'll be very fast.
Isn't that incredibly slow? Because compact flash typically is very slow flash storage.
Compact flash is really slow.
It is. Now that I think about it, it's meant for only storing pictures and stuff like that. It's not meant for continuously shuffling everything around.
I expect about fast USB stick speeds from that. Like, if you do continuous writing, it's fine, but like the I/O performance is gonna be very flaky, to say the least.
Yeah, it depends on what I actually use is a hard drive, and I use this little. It's a SATA to USB. It's come out of one of those little caddies that you find on eBay for whatever, a few dollars. And every time I want to test something, I'll just plug it into that.
I have something similar.
Plug it into the USB port, job done.
So you just hook a hard drive to that thing and you're good to go.
Yeah, absolutely. I was looking around for the hard drive then to show, but I haven't actually got one near me.
This is a hard drive to USB 3 direct
I got
plug-in.
one of those.
Yeah.
I have the same thing since I do IT repair a lot. There is one gigantic warning with these, though. These little ones that you guys are showing only work for 2.5-inch drives. If you need
that's true.
you need one that's actually AC powered. Otherwise, it won't have the power to.
Yeah, it won't work well with one of these.
No, it won't work with one of those now.
However, I find
I've got one of the cables for for the SATA, and I actually got one from a Ricoh that you plug in, and I think I got that because I had a few very old IED drives that I had to download information on.
Yeah.
Those are really useful, though.
Yeah.
Has the cost of hardware gone up lately because of the Chinese sanctions, or is it pretty well the same? I know there's U.S. Case manufacturers gone out of business because of the tariffs, but it doesn't seem to affect any electronic prices yet.
I've also noticed over the past few days, EB has changed his YouTube name again.
Yeah.
He does. He
does that a lot, yeah.
First it was Punchbag Bob, now it's
Trucking on Linux.
Thank you.
He's the one that actually got me interested in getting the American Trucking Simulator game. And I enjoy that.
It may be changing again soon to Punch Truck.
You can't help but love the guy.
Yeah.
He's a good guy. Really good guy.
Yeah. And in the chat, somebody was asking, how do they take part in one of these Zoom chats? I posted the link. Yeah.
All you got to do is just download the Zoom client, and it's available for all major devices. And you just click on that link. Yep. It'll give you an Xorg command pop up. Just press the open button, and you'll be instantly inside the program.
That's assuming they're on Linux. Some folks, of course, are joining on Windows.
Come join the barrel of fun.
Yeah.
If you are using the client, all you have to do is join meeting, and you see the number at the end after the J, then the slash.
Yeah.
Just use the number. Just paste it into the group you want to join. It opens.
Yeah.
And if the question was about any kind of hardware you need a microphone, obviously, so we can hear you. Other than that, it'd be nice to have a webcam, but it's not required.
Well, all you really
I
need
turned off my camera. I don't think people want to see my face.
Okay.
That's okay. All you guys in the chat really need is just a good USB headset. It doesn't have to be the most expensive headset. Any USB headset will do just fine.
Actually, speaking of sound, how do I sound right now? Because I realized that my microphone is not plugged in. So
You sound fine,
it might be
sounds
using
better
laptop
than
sound
me.
card.
That's thumbs
I'm
up.
gonna change that in a moment, though. But while I was messing up with this setup, you guys were actually talking about Article 11 and Article 13, and I am from Europe, and I've been pretty invested in the whole thing. So
I'd love to hear your thoughts. Yeah.
What the fuzz is about, if you guys want to know.
Yeah, I would love to hear about it.
Fire ready.
Article 11 is designed to be pretty much the antidote to Google News. So Google News lists news articles, and these newspapers are afraid that people will just read the headlines, and then they kind of want to demand their revenue from it.
Okay.
In a sense, if you were to define it like, hey, if you're a news aggregator, the source can ask you money to aggregate their news, then it wouldn't be such a big deal. It's going to affect Google News. The problem is they do that for every single link. So if you post a Linux news article from, for example, Forbes, that one guy that's currently testing everything out, if you post a link title that has two of the same words as the original article, that's copyright violation.
What?
Wow.
Yeah, and then
If it shows
That's gonna make life
from the article, for example, a tux penguin, that is a copyright violation. That's Article 11.
I can't see how the Tux Penguin would be a copyright violation because it's licensed as common license anyway.
Yeah, but if it's used in the article, for example, with a slightly different background and it's a thumbnail, then you have to pay the article money.
I think
Right.
it's primarily
Ubuntu
focused on the
18.4
links.
is now released. If you have then the link, Ubuntu 18.4 is now released. That's copyrightable work now.
Yeah.
Then there's Article 13, and that's essentially the antidote to fair use. It's now mandatory for platforms to filter what users upload. If they don't, the platform itself, so YouTube themselves, are liable for what people upload, even if it's just a snippet of something.
Yeah.
So if you are going to show a news post, for example, a screenshot of that, or a Disney character for like 3 seconds because of its comedic effect, that's now illegal for YouTube to host.
Well, how would that affect people that run things like web forums, stack exchanges?
If a user posts anything copyright, you're liable. If the user posts any link to an article, you have to pay.
Well,
No matter how
I'm
small.
in a lot of trouble.
Well, they took out the no matter how small part, but still, this is terrible.
Yeah.
I don't know what the consequences will be for American sites if they can get sued by EU legislators. Like, hey, you posted to an EU news article, then you now have to pay a few $1,000s for that. That's what the fuss is about. It's not live yet.
Well, I think what you would see is if this thing ever had any real teeth, you would see a lot more people hosting their websites, like offshore, in countries.
Yeah, which probably would get massively censored, because that's the next step they're doing. They're actually now putting in legislation that any host provider, no matter how small, including your own personal blog, will have to remove extremist content within an hour if they request it. That's the next step. They're working on that. But
Hi, Rocco.
legislation, it's been voted to be part of a bill. The bill itself has not been voted on. It will first go through a legal trial, and then next year you get to vote on it.
Yeah.
The problem in the first place, like how did this happen? The EU is not a democracy as you would probably imagine it might be. You can vote for European MEPs. They cannot create legislation. They can only amend it. So the copyright lobbies lobbied to do this, especially with the link article, because that they can pay up all that money, but their smaller competitors, independent content creators like DistroTube and many of you, they cannot do that. So they're literally trying to make it so expensive that independent creators can no longer set foot. And because the committee that creates the legislation is heavily intertwined with those copyright lobby guys, and the guys you vote for are not, that's why this kind of thing can get through. And unfortunately, many of the ones we did vote for also voted in favor. So it is now part of a larger legislation that now has to be accepted or rejected. But since a lot of those things they are in favor for, and the two things that are most objectionable are now voted in, I don't see a chance that it's going to get repealed later on. But we can still try. We can still put pressure.
And Breadmoth, thanks for the super chat. He's saying U.S. sites should just outright ignore the EU. I'm sure most probably will, unless somebody's ever prosecuted or sued or something.
Yeah, well,
they
the problem
should
is
either filter only for the EU or just ignore the legislation altogether. Because if we need to, we can just use a VPN. But if they actively start censoring the content, the entire world is affected.
Well, I mean, is China going to honor things like Article 11 and Article 13? I mean, it's...
I doubt that.
I think the Chinese, they love the idea that you can regulate the internet all you want. I mean, there's the Great Firewall, after all.
Yeah.
China is more disturbing in that, where you have a social score. So if you are politically correct and you're in line with the government, you can travel, and otherwise, no tram, no internet access, no a lot of
track of your online gaming. If you game too much,
I think the Chinese are building the 21st century Orwellian state right now.
That's China, the EU, and kind of Britain at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of at this point.
Literally all of them are doing that.
Another year.
Very much
so
Britain.
is the Silicon Valley, along with the U.S. security establishment. They're all trying to do that.
Yeah. Well, in the U.S., it's not really like they're trying to lock down the internet. It's more like the NSA just wants a backdoor into everything.
This is kind of
In the US, they are
question.
trying to lock down the internet, but it's not the government, it's the corporations from Silicon Valley that are trying to do so.
Well, yeah. I mean, you got... Well, we've already talked about, obviously, the movie industry is behind a lot of this, music industry.
Okay, how does this play out? Let's say somebody like Peppermint takes the Ubuntu operating system and uses parts of it for their own operating system, because you just said that certain parts of the Tux Penguin stuff is copyrighted. How's that play out with the distro?
Technically, Canonical can sue Peppermint guys for infringing on their copyright, even though they cite fair use or they are open source, whatever. License,
Well, then couldn't the Linux
they
Foundation sue for the use of the Tux Penguin? I mean...
And the kernels?
I think that's
this is what I was saying.
Where do we go from there? I mean...
We can't really say it's copyright theft when we use copyleft licenses.
That's true, yeah.
There's one problem there.
GPL 2.3.
The way Article 11 is done is that you cannot disavow that you want that income. That was also part of that. So you have to accept it in some way. It sounds so unworkable that I don't think it will work in practice, and any of these things will not set ground. But technically, if someone wanted to sue you for linking to a piece of source code or something, I'm not sure. Because Article 11 is mostly exclusive to the newspaper sites. They specifically made it for that. So it's not as destructive as Article 13, which essentially, if you want to upload your distro, they will have to go through an EU censorship filter to detect if it's copyrighted work or not. If it is, your ISO gets nuked. If not, it gets posted, but it might be a long delay because I can't imagine these things being fast.
I can see a whole bunch of court systems being tied up with this stuff and the real things that matter getting pushed aside.
Yeah, I can actually done because every YouTuber that reviews a distro because it's copyrighted work after all, is going to get hammered. I hear children somewhere.
Yeah, somebody's having fun. Well,
Someone's having fun.
It is a Sunday.
Children, people.
The state of the world now, it's unbelievable.
Yeah. I see you're rocking your peppermint shirt there, Steve. Very cool.
Nice.
Very cool.
Representing, huh?
Represent.
So my Samsung just went off.
Uh-oh.
Yeah,
The
right?
state of the world stuff, it's definitely at the point where it now gets so ridiculous people are going to start taking action and change course. If that doesn't happen, then it's going to be George Orwell in real life, because they are kind of following that to the letter. If we do push back against all of that stuff, which I expect will happen and which we should definitely do, then I see a bright future, because then it's going to be even more difficult to
I think people are already pushing back from a lot of things. You see a lot more people on the internet now taking things like privacy and security more serious.
That's true.
I mean, think about, we mentioned China, how locked down it is, but you see a lot of Chinese users on the internet. How are they getting around like the Great Firewall? Well, they're using things, VPNs and Tor and Tails and everything. They're not just going to sit back and let their freedoms be taken away from some of this stuff.
DT, problem is because, as far as I see, and I ask people, all who aren't really computer literate don't really even consider this stuff. And when I said, that's not important, they say that's not important, that's nothing. What do you talk about internet? Internet, nothing will happen with it. I see that all the time with people around, especially people are around the year 40 years and stuff like that. So we should be aware of that people actually don't keep their privacy a lot.
Also, some of this stuff people just don't know about. You see, when you
I
turn
would
on the
say-
news, you don't hear newscasts talk about stuff like this. They're talking about the latest Donald Trump tweet. They're not talking about stuff that really matters most of the time.
Yeah.
This stuff really matters.
That is something that I wanted to touch upon, exactly those 2 points, because I actually see a pattern where if the news doesn't tell them it's bad, they assume you're just over-exaggerating and it's going to be fine, because otherwise it would be on the news. Well, the news is completely in bed with
face it.
If you didn't read about it on CNN or the BBC, I mean, it didn't happen, right? So that's what some people.
Most funny thing is when people actually consider those real what are they called, conspiracy theories, but they don't consider this stuff as real or at any point okay to think about.
The only place you're in control of your own privacy really is Linux. If you're on a smartphone, if you're on Windows, anywhere else, they've got control of your data. And the Linux laptop.
That's not true. Even on Linux, we don't actually know what's happening in the background if we alone don't check the whole code. And that's one of the problems I'm having with the whole Linux community and open source community. All people trust other people. You don't know.
You have to trust your ISP too.
I can tell on the whole internet, I check the code for I don't know what and said it's okay. But in reality, I didn't check it, and it could have 1,000 trackers inside.
Right. Well,
that's theoretically,
someone
but
else.
somebody would have found that already.
On Linux in practice,
that's anything really.
I can speak from experience. I've been a victim of these kinds of things, especially privacy and even password theft twice. Both times it happened through browser add-ons, so be very careful what you install and be very careful of the updates. Unfortunately, recently I tried out Google Chrome 69 on Linux, which prompted for 60% of my add-ins, like, hey, the permissions have changed in this version, do you want to re-enable it? So I clicked it, yes, but the same day, Mega's browser add-on got Trojanized. So because I got 60% of my things asking for it, I didn't read them that time, which is my fault. But then again, if you get so many prompts all the time, if you update your browser version, then you don't expect it to happen on the same day. And then I actually got a password stealer right in my browser. And the other time it happened was on Mozilla, where the pop-up blocker that I was using was sending back all the websites I was visiting. And Mozilla then pulled it from the browser. So you have to be careful with those things people face. Snap packages, things do get through, so you do have to be careful.
Right.
Even though most of it is open source, the things that aren't, there can be potential trouble.
Yeah, everything.
All
We
the
should
things I
consider
ran through
everything threat.
Yeah, I just want to point out, I think that's sort of, it's a more general problem, because how do you stuff you know about, ultimately you have to take it on a bit of faith
Yeah.
that you're getting information that's correct, that the people, that experts who investigate this stuff, they are truthful and they know what they're doing, and that's how you have to rely on, and unfortunately that's often not the case. So I'm not sure, it's a social problem more than anything.
So it got nice weather today.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's beautiful here around Chicago.
Just trying to lighten the mood.
Yeah, right.
It's hot and steamy here in Michigan.
It's been very warm here too. Very
Not
hot.
so good here. Been raining all day.
As far as lighten the mood, you're right, Rocco. This really took a turn about half an hour ago. Really had no topic planned, and then just somebody in the chat, what about Article 11 and Article 13? And everybody's mood just... it was all laughs and smiles till then. So.
It's Sunday, for crying out loud.
Yeah, exactly.
How you doing, Rocco?
Doing pretty good, man. What's going on?
Oh, nothing much. Just installed Peppermint 9 on my laptop, running Ubuntu 18.04 Unity on my desktop.
Very nice.
Love Unity. Yeah.
Oh, Unity, I hate it.
Unity was the best desktop environment ever.
Come on,
if I was gonna run a full desktop environment. No, I actually really liked Unity. For what I do, Unity made a lot of sense because you could do everything with the keyboard, and you could even do some kind of tiling with the Compiz effects.
And the best thing about Unity, it had the most compatibility in its time for any type of hardware you could throw at it.
It was great with multi-monitors too. Something that a lot of desktop environments sometimes.
I would say, don't you mean Ubuntu? But then I realized how horrible KDE works on NVIDIA drivers. That's literally the reason I bought an AMD.
By the way, early on in the chat,
Team Green.
Yeah, just the very first comment I got in the chat way before the stream started this morning, somebody wanted as a topic KDE versus GNOME.
No.
Yeah, GNOME. So let's just get a quick vote. Everybody, Dan, KDE or GNOME? You got to choose.
I'm KDE. Yeah, all the way.
I would say, in my opinion, since Canonical has announced that GNOME has gotten a speed increase, I'm going to give GNOME a try.
Yeah. Big Bud, you got any thoughts on KDE or GNOME?
I'm a GNOME guy, and personally, I kind of hate KDE.
Yeah.
It's trying to be a Windows UI too hard, for my opinion.
I have a pretty good idea what Present Arms will say, but Present?
Yeah. Well, I'll fall on the fence of KDE.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the thing about the biggest flaw with KDE is the settings, and I heard Switch to Linux say this, you can get lost so easily in its settings because KDE has so many settings.
Oh, yeah.
Naturally, I am thinking of doing a video on that very subject. I've done one recently. I haven't uploaded it yet on the PC Linux OS command center because people don't even know it's there. So I'm going to show them around that, and then the next one I'm going to do the Trinity settings, which is very similar actually to the KDE Plasma settings. People do get lost in it, so I was going to do that, and then I was going to do the Plasma one to show the differences.
Yeah.
So yeah, you are right. Yeah. People do get lost in there because there's an immense amount of settings for KDE. It's just so customizable.
I will say some of this, though, depends on the time you ask. Like, if you had asked me 10 years ago, GNOME or KDE, I'd said GNOME all day long. KDE 4 was so bad. But then when GNOME 3 first came out, it was such a horrible operating desktop environment. I would have said Plasma, Now,
out of all the iterations of GNOME, GNOME 2 is by far the best one because, Ubuntu had it for so many years. And if I'm correct, Linux Mint, I believe before Linux Mint ever got Cinnamon and all that, wasn't a Linux Mint's original environment GNOME 2, I believe?
It was, but then they went to Cinnamon and Mate. Mate was basically GNOME
Mate
2.
is
So,
forked of,
personal client.
GNOME 2.
GNOME 2.
I look at KDE as XFCE made difficult.
Personally,
I did a 6-point comparison between the two, and the XFCE came out all ahead. But I've been using XFCE for years, and I'm just dabbling with KDE. But,
XFCE is really good. I mean, it's really good for very old machines. I mean, like if you have a ThinkPad or, say, for example, you have an old XP machine at the most, XFCE will work perfectly with those.
I'll give you one example comparing XFCE to KDE. On the desktop, if you want to add wallpapers in XFCE, you go to the right click and select desktop and then wallpapers. It says add folder. I've got 1,000 wallpapers I can click and add from that folder. And then below that, it says change wallpaper every n minutes. So I change 1 minute, and there's a checkbox for random. So I click that, and I've got 1,000 wallpapers that will change randomly every minute. In KDE, you right click on it, select it, it says add file, and they mean file. You have to go down to the folder, select one file from the list, and there's no preview picture, and click OK. And you've added one, and then you have to go back again and click another one. You have to drill down again. It doesn't save the place.
You can drag and drop a whole directory of images into that.
Yeah, I've done that.
What did Ubuntu 14.4 ship with?
Around that time, Ubuntu was starting to move away from GNOME 2, and they may focus solely on Unity.
That's why I didn't stick with it.
Yeah, well, and Unity was focused until 2017 when they switched back to GNOME.
Yeah,
I got the CD right here where I just couldn't deal with it.
There are still a few distros out there that still use GNOME 2.
Well, as I said, it's Mate is the fork of GNOME 2, so you just use that. Like Ubuntu Mate is a great distro, by the way.
It is. Total S today uses it. I've used Mate as well. Mate is great. I think the reason why the Mate desktop environment has stuck around for so long is because it's a new user. It's very friendly to new Linux users, and it's very compatible with a good selection of hardware.
Mate is really great.
Ubuntu Mate, Mint Mate. This week I took a look at Parrot Home, Parrot 4.2.2 that uses the Mate desktop, and it mimics the old GNOME 2 desktop. They're just using the standard, GNOME 2 style, the top panel, the bottom panel, Yeah. It was like I was running Ubuntu 8.04 again, which I liked. So
even Mate now is getting a bit heavier.
It is, yeah. Everything's getting heavier. It seems. Web browsing is getting so heavy,
including XFCE.
Yeah,
that's the one thing KDE does well. It's getting less heavy over the updates instead of the other way around, at least in resource usage.
I mean, the thing about XFCE, it's getting I would say XFCE is much faster than it used to be.
It's also much heavier.
A lot heavier.
Yeah, I can deal with heavier. It's the 21st century. Everything's going to touch screens or speech to text, and Linux is kind of lagging behind in them areas.
I've got to disagree. I don't do heavy. LXQt is the future. The LXQt desktop is where.
Once they crack LXQt, it's gonna rock.
Yeah. Everybody should switch to tiling window managers. Forget about these. Just
don't put tiling around me. I'm okay. I hate them.
Has anybody tried Deepin, the new version of Deepin?
No, thank you.
I didn't try the new version of it. The older version that I did try is my second favorite desktop environment after KDE.
The latest version on Arch, and it wasn't that bad actually, but the last version was a bit bloated.
Yep.
But overall, the experience of it's nice because I like, as I say, I'm a big one for eye candy. So, you know, I started off originally on the KDE 3.5, and then when, as you say, when the plasma came out originally on KDE 4, it was just so bloated and not even worth running.
Well, the only annoying thing I had with Deepin, and it caused me to leave the distro permanently, is that notification sound.
Oh, don't get me started on that notification. I had Spotify running.
I didn't mind it.
And I'm going through my tracks on Spotify and putting this ding. How do I shut this up?
I don't know. You guys focus on minor stuff. I did run Deepin for a few weeks on one of my laptops, and like the notification sound. I mean, why does that bug y'all?
It's a lovely sound.
You can turn the sound down. I mean, you can even turn the audio off if it really.
When you're skipping through a lot of tracks on a playlist as well, like 3 or 4 at a time, you're getting that notification sound.
Yeah, I could see that. But this is kind of minor stuff. This is like Rocco focusing on all those pixels that are misplaced in elementary.
I went. Have you used any chat clients on Deepin at that time?
Oh God, I had Telegram on it, and that was the worst.
Because every chat message I've heard in some chat clients trigger that notification sound, and it's kind of long, so I can absolutely see people going insane after
The worst
a while.
bit is, with Telegram, it has its own notification sound, and it's setting Deepin sound off as well.
Yeah, I don't use Telegram, so I can't comment on that one. No.
Well,
but I can see how that would be annoying. Yeah.
Well,
Deepin's a beautiful desktop, but you know, I just see too many problems when you guys talk about it.
Yeah, well, as I say, I just recently switched over to the newest KDE, and actually, I'm quite impressed with how less bloated it was than KDE 4.
KDE Plasma is really taken off very well.
It has.
Yeah.
Ever
That's one of the
since
biggest things,
5.8, KDE has been my unbeatable favorite, and with 5.12 they absolutely perfected it, and they're still going. So,
yeah, there's a lot of development going on in KDE. I think that's one of the biggest things. There's a lot of momentum. You don't see that with
Dolphin's a pretty good file manager.
It is
the best file manager on the planet.
Definitely.
Boy, boy, do I love
especially
Debian
with
too.
Dolphin, if you press
Two,
F4 and you have
Dolphin
a terminal inside your file manager, I absolutely love that. I use it more than actual terminal apps.
And the one thing I like about most of these file managers, the thing is, as for what is my favorite file manager, I would have to say my favorite file manager has to be either Funar or Nautilus, because when it comes to those two file managers, it is very easy for me to get root access into both of them.
So this is going to be a dolphin bashing session here, where we talk about not having root access.
Well, that's not Dolphin's fault. It had root access. That's the dev's fault for removing it.
It's coming back. It's coming back.
I always just type sudo dolphin and then I can copy paste in between them. So
that's what I basically that's what I do. I sudo type in my file manager. I'm good.
Yeah, that doesn't work.
That sounds
it doesn't work anymore.
To me.
Yeah.
When did that stop working? Because it still works for me.
Now, depending on your distro, if you're on SUSE has hacked it, so it will work.
Yeah. Correct.
Compiler is working nicely.
They blocked it now.
There is a Debian Ubuntu package called Who Has. You have to install Who Has, and then in the terminal you enter Who Has and the name of the package, and it will search all the major distros for the package and tell you what version is available. So I did that with Dolphin, and that was in the next version of Debian, Ubuntu. So they actually get the URL ports. I downloaded the DEV for 4.18. It wouldn't install in Ubuntu because of dependency problems, but I gave it a shot. So that's Who Has pretty good tool for finding out which distro has which package.
And Zib in the chat is really lauding Nemo. It's the best file manager according to Zib.
I like Nemo.
Not really. Yeah.
The one file manager to rule them all is one nobody's heard of called Crusader, which is a KD.
Crusader
with the Crusader with a K. Is that one of the KD?
You cover graphical Midnight Commander.
Yeah, Midnight Commander's nice.
When it comes when it comes
Range
to
is good.
when it comes to KDE, everything in KDE has to have a K with it.
Yeah, why is their golf game called Cough with a K? I don't understand that. That is the worst name for a program I have ever seen in my life. Cough with a K. Golf. You've replaced the G with a K.
So how's the cover today?
This is much better coffee than the one. I got that coffee from Taco Bell the last Sunday morning I did this, and that was the worst coffee I'd ever had. This is from Sonic.
Oh boy.
Sonic.
Good luck switch to Linux. He's trying Manjaro Deepin.
Hey, I'll tell you what, actually, going on about that, my son, 13, he wanted to try out Linux, and he goes, can I install Linux on my machine? I went, yeah, sure. And he used my memory stick, which had Arch on it, and actually installed Arch Linux on his machine.
Holy cow.
Yeah, nice.
And
Wow.
he got
Teaching him
Ludus.
right.
He set up
Yeah, that's it.
Ludus himself with DXVK, without, slight bit of help from me, but not much. Figured his way around sudo and how to edit files, and he was off.
Nice.
Smart kid.
I haven't
Smart
gotten
kid.
I haven't gotten Arch installed even in VirtualBox yet.
Yeah.
They should probably turn in my badge.
But then I said, hey, then he went to try out a distro.
I've got a couple of videos on doing an Arch install. I did one on a live stream. You can just follow along with me and on one of my videos, and it's really not hard to get it up and running. In a
The
VM.
thing
Yeah, Arch isn't bad.
The thing about Arch is it's not Arch is more forgiving than Gentoo because Lord
Oh,
have
God. I
Gen-
started on Gen 2.
The thing about Gentoo is I tried to install it via a virtual machine with the help of Ben Fitzpatrick.
Yeah.
Oh my lord, I could not finish it. It was just hell.
Well, I did my first Gen 2 install back in 2003, and I tried again recently before going on to Arch, and I was just like, this is too much of a ball ache now. I don't have, there's no need to compile everything like they used to be.
Yeah, but to be fair, compiling your own software in 2003 was so much slower than it is on modern equipment. I mean, now you can get Gen 2 installed if you kind of know what you're doing. You can get it installed in a couple of hours on
I
good hardware.
had an old Sempron system, and I think it took me 15 hours in total before I was even in a fully fledged X session, and that was with KDE.
Right. If you still have one of those 10 or 15-year-old machines and you're still trying to compile everything, it could take a week to get Gen 2 installed.
Yeah.
The thing is, there's still a whole bunch of distros out there that still support 32-bit, which I think that's amazing. I mean, the one thing I'm not liking about most of these companies is they're taking 32-bit support away when they should keep it, because there's a whole bunch of people that can't switch to 64.
Yeah, but a lot of the reason for that is because they don't have the testing ability to test all of the old 32-bit machines on their whatever they're building, distro programs. They just don't have the resources to do that. So.
Not everybody needs to support 32-bit. We don't need every distro doing all the same thing. You're always going to have Puppy and Antics and those kinds of distros that'll support 32-bit. Ubuntu doesn't need to support 32-bit. Fedora doesn't need. They can focus on modern equipment. So
I would say the best thing is just indeed most of them just focus on 64-bit, and then the lighter spins like a Lubuntu or a Xubuntu, there it makes sense, because then you have, for example, a little add-on processor that can't run 64 but isn't extremely old. Then it makes sense to run things that will run smooth on there, but something like Cinnamon 32-bit, no.
Well, you can look at it this way. Is there any of them that even run 16-bit anymore? Yeah, Ricky's laughing.
I know what he's talking about. Good old 16-bit from the days of Windows 98 and 95.
Yes.
FreeDOS?
Who cares?
The thing about that era is back in that time period, Linux was not as popular as it is now, because back then you didn't have that many distros running around. I mean, the two, basically, Debian was just getting off the ground. Red Hat was just getting started. Red Hat Linux is a really good distro from what I've heard.
Yeah, I heard it's really good as well. No, tried it.
If you want to try Red Hat, just use CentOS.
I was actually shocked when I tried Linux Mint's Debian edition that they have a 32-bit ISO.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, but that was still based on Debian 9, which still has a 32-bit ISO, so that kind of made
The
sense.
problem I have with that distro is it don't run on my hardware very well because my hardware is very new, and the
yes, because
kernel's
Debian's old.
really
Yeah.
old.
Yeah.
Yeah, 4.9 kernel.
Yeah.
Well, as I say, going on about older Linuxes, the first time I'd seen Linux was back on the front cover of some magazine. They had a Mandrake disk on it.
Yeah. Same here. Mandrake 8 was for me the very first thing I ever touched as a child.
Mandrake. If I'm correct, wasn't Mandrake Linux? Didn't Mandrake Linux come right before Ubuntu came out?
That was a few years before that. Ubuntu was like 2004, I think. And
yeah, 2004 is when it
at that point, no Mandrake Mandriva.
Mandrake was around about 2005, 2006 when I first started. Mandrake was the easy way of installing Red Hat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now the early 2000s were where we got all the good user-friendly distributions. In the early 2000s, we got Ubuntu, then we got Arch, and then we got Gentoo. So we got all of those.
When Ubuntu came out, it literally changed everything. Literally everything. Because Ubuntu, basically, it established what a modern Linux should be.
Well, back in work, Ubuntu. I remember when Ubuntu came out, and one of our techs came in, and he came in with this disk. He goes, "Hey, check this out! What? This is a really easy way to install Linux." Pops it in, and he goes, "Watch this." And it was like, so I'd never seen Linux installed so quickly and so simply before.
Mm-hmm. And around the time Ubuntu was coming around, I mean, Fedora was coming around as well.
Yeah.
The game changer for those early Ubuntus, if you guys remember they had that CD program where they would ship you a CD with Ubuntu on it for free.
If I'm correct, wasn't it called Wooby, I believe?
Wooby was the Windows installer.
Yeah. Wooby was the one that let you run it along with Windows. That was the Wooby system was really good, especially if you wanted to try Linux but didn't want to run it on a live CD.
It's what I tried when I started. Yep.
I mean, even I was on Wooby. I ran a Wooby system for like nearly 6 months because I didn't want to get rid of the Windows system.
The thing about Wooby is it was the very first time to where you could actually dual boot Linux and Windows at the same time.
Well, you could do it before with a chain loader in Xorg, but it wasn't simple.
No, it was not.
How many of you remember Knoppix? Like the
I've never heard of it.
Knoppix was the first live CD.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I remember correctly, didn't Knoppix have the
Knoppix knocking my head off at the.
What the hell's that?
Hey, Alistair, your volume needs to come up. You're real low.
Yeah.
Is that any better?
Yeah, bring it up a little more. Still kind of low.
More. Yeah, because I accidentally unplugged my microphone earlier.
Yeah, it was doing. Your audio was fine earlier. Now it's just real low.
Yeah.
I would blame Pulse Audio if I were you. That's you.
I do remember.
There we go. We should be okay.
That's much better.
That's one of the things with Linux that is not fully mastered yet. It does not do audio as good as Windows does.
Yeah.
I disagree. Sorry.
Yeah, me too.
There's so many audio programs I have with Windows. Trying to map one program to use one source and another program to use another. It's almost impossible on the Windows.
It's possible on the Windows.
Just one word with Windows sound problems. Real tech.
Oh yeah.
It's terrible.
Anyone on Windows, from a Windows engineer, just use the Windows default driver. Everything else is typically worse unless you got like a really premium sound card.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, I do the same thing in Windows that I do in Linux. Just disable every audio source you're not actually using. And
Yep.
There you go.
That's the only way to go, dude. It's the only way to go.
Interesting.
For me, it's been a bit of a mixed bag. Linux audio for me is more stable, and I can run like native Pulse Audio plugins to make it sound really awesome. But Windows works out of the box for me without external tools with things like volume normalization. But then again, the Windows Audio service, if that thing bugs out and crashes, I can get all kinds of unpredictable scenarios unless I manually reboot the service again. So it's hit and miss for me on both of them.
Yeah.
Well, I've had a lot more success in Windows in Linux with some of my sound systems, especially with my mixer deck. Because in Windows it cuts out. It's never done it in Linux yet.
I've never had problems with audio in Linux thus far, but I think that's because I'm just a consumer. Basically, I know.
If I have issues with the audio, I usually open up the ALSA mixer, and I can usually resolve them there.
Yeah,
I heard ALSA is actually pretty good.
It's a command line type thing, and you get a command line type set of stuff to work with, but it's kind of simple. You just poke around with it until you get it the way you like it, and the Pulse Audio seems to follow it.
Yeah, it does.
It's linked to it.
Because Pulse Audio is a wrapper for ALSA, in a way.
Yeah, if you have Pulse Audio, you have.
It may not go the other way, though.
I just remember back in the day where I would open up an MP3 player and play music, and if you wanted to listen to something else, you couldn't, because there was no daemon there, and you could only use one sound stream at a time. I do remember those days. Hated it.
Before my time.
You know, going on about music and stuff and ALSA, it's like one of the first things I get installed is ALSA and was MP3 Blaster, so I could sit there and listen to MP3s while I was getting it installed.
Firefox just recently changed it, so it will only work with Pulse Audio. It won't work with ALSA anymore. And I think
that was a couple of years ago. That's right. Yeah.
The reason to use Pulse Audio over ALSA is the fact that I have those audio normalization. Everything is equal volume plugins. It's really great.
Well, speaking of Firefox, did any of you hear that they're changing Firefox's logo?
Yeah, they've got a couple of icon packs that they're judging at the moment. It's more for the corporate side of things than us consumers. They will have a new Firefox logo, but they have different corporate logos as well.
Problem is, Mozilla has so many different products and services now. They were using pretty much the Firefox logo for all of them, and they want to better differentiate, the various services they have. So they want to, come up with some new icons and some new logos for everything.
Just do what Google does and just change the color.
yeah. They just want to,
make it flatter.
So, President Arms, what distro do you use for daily use?
My own. Trinity on PC Linux OS, I use my own. It doesn't let me down. And if it does, I know how to fix it.
I really like Present Arms. I still like that desktop. That's pretty sharp, even though some people call it's old looking, but I don't think so.
Well, you know what, Trinity's not old looking.
Want it to look. Yeah. Basically, KDE 3.5 is so configurable. If it looks old fashioned, someone said it looked like Windows 98, and I thought to myself, well, I can make it look like GNOME, I can make it look like XP, I can make it look like Vista.
It's all based on the
3D icons give it character.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If you guys think Trinity looks old, have you guys looked at LXDE, LXQT, XFCE? I mean, Trinity doesn't look any more dated.
No, those all are steamrollered, and then people think that that's the modern look because Windows steamrolled all their icons.
Hello.
Oh,
Pizza woke us up.
Actually,
I'll have a vegetarian, please.
Actually, Windows copied off of Plasma 5.
I think so as well, yeah.
Just saying.
Cases, especially things
I think probably Mac OS is the big influence there.
Actually, Windows borrowed a lot from Mac too. So.
You can hear your pizza.
But then I blame everything, all the bad trends in tech on Apple. It's easier that way.
Yeah.
The thing I will say one thing about PC Linux OS, it's a very good distro. I like it.
Thank you.
Are any of you guys excited about the new iPhone? Since somebody mentioned Apple, any of you guys going to rush out and get that $1,100 iPhone?
No, I am not
Don't
excited.
get me going on that.
Did you pre-order?
Isn't it strong?
Did you pre-order, Derek?
Yes, it's on the way.
The thing about
You got yourself an SX with Apple Care, yeah?
all I gotta say
$2 grand.
Apple Care.
the only exciting thing about the new iPhone is that ginormous screen.
Yeah,
But it's
and
not-
I think it's too
only
big.
0.1.
Yeah.
It's only 0.1 inch bigger than a Note 9, and a Note 9 runs circles around it
Yeah.
for less money. I mean, literally runs circles around it with its pen behind its back.
The thing that Apple does not understand, no matter how much they improve the iPhone, Android is going to run circles around them each and every time.
It doesn't matter.
I don't think they're, in a sense, they're not really competing anymore. Like Apple has its niche as a luxury brand, whereas Google.
Yeah, when you're charging over $1,000 per phone, you don't care how many Android devices are activated every month.
iPhone is more or less a fashion statement.
New iPhone has literally no features.
Oh, is that
when you can afford to buy inferior?
Is that your cat pizza?
Yeah.
Oh.
Going on about mobile
No,
phone
it's the
OSs.
neighbors.
Has anyone ever tried Sailfish?
I have not.
What's
a long time ago on my next
Sailfish is a Linux-based mobile operating system.
Yeah.
Oh, so it's pretty. Is it like Lineage?
No, it's not Android based. It's actually a Linux.
It's completely Linux.
Really?
Yeah, Sailfish OS.
I gotta look that up.
It originally only worked on
that.
I
It
don't
looks
know.
really promising, but there's
Yeah,
not many
that's from
devices.
years past, though.
Available for my current phone. That's cool.
The support just isn't there.
You said
Yeah.
Sailfish OS?
Sailfish
OS, yeah.
Yeah, I found it. It's right here. It's a general purpose Linux distribution. Yeah, commonly used on mobile operating systems.
There you go.
I believe it's used for low-end phones in India and places like that. Because the one I think it is, I've got an Alcatel flip phone, and I think it's used in that as well. And it's
Okay, so let me
but
look.
it's-
Let me
the
read this.
Alcatel is crap.
Sailfish OS offers a true independent alternative to the existing mobile operating systems. Partners and users of Sailfish can build customized mobile experiences with the content that matters to them the most without restrictions or breaches of privacy. Oh, wow. So this thing is private. So basically, this company is focused on protecting the user's privacy.
At least they say that.
Essentially, yes.
That's marketing speak, but yes.
There's not enough devices yet for it.
We don't know what's happening in behind if you don't read the whole source code.
Right.
No, you might just go on their package manager and accidentally install a Bitcoin miner.
This is what I've always wondered. What in the world is Bitcoin anyway?
It's a cryptocurrency. It's like computer money.
It can't be tracked. It helps you stay anonymous when you pay for things. It's
DistroTube, that's actually extremely false. Every single transaction of Bitcoin can be tracked.
And it's really trackable.
Yeah, that's how they were
Really?
catching some of these drug runners.
Is it?
Every
is
single
it
transaction
tracked
is
through your
stored in the
exchange?
blockchain forever, so you can literally trace every single one. You just have to know whose wallet address it originally was. If you want something actually anonymous, go for Monero. That one doesn't work like that.
So,
okay.
So it's
Until somebody finds an exploit.
No one can find you.
There are extreme tax disadvantages to using Bitcoins as well. Here in the United States, you get taxed when you buy it, and then every transaction you make to buy something with it, you're supposed to record that on your taxes as well. So you get taxed both ways.
Getting back to Ricky's question, what's the big deal with Bitcoin? The big deal with Bitcoin is so many people are mining for Bitcoin. It has caused the price of RAM and GPUs to skyrocket to the point where
heavens.
Yeah, but I think
you can't even afford, some of the higher end NVIDIA GPUs anymore.
Yeah, and if I'm correct, Bitcoin is also used for mostly illegal purposes.
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily.
To be fair, cash is mostly it's arguably used mostly for illicit trade like drugs and whatever.
Physical cash many times used for physical transactions, but currently cryptocurrencies are used quite a lot for any kind of over the internet transactions on the darknet and stuff. But probably not Bitcoin exactly, because Bitcoin is so widely popular and so easily trackable. But probably Monero is more likely to be used. But for any physical transactions, it's probably the physical cash.
Now, the mainstream media makes it sound like everybody on the dark web and everybody that uses Bitcoin, you have to be either a drug dealer or a terrorist if you're using these things. That's not the case. There are other reasons. Yeah, or
Same things about encryption, actually, aren't they? If you're using encryption, you have to be doing something that has to be hidden.
I came across an article. There is a cryptocurrency exchange on Wall Street with the normal Wall Street bunch.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they opened one down there, and you can go in there and buy your cryptocurrency, whatever flavor you want. Now, I don't know how true this is, but I've seen it more than one article.
I'm sure you can trade it just like any other, Forex.
Yeah, commodity. Yeah.
But yet they tear it down on the news and everything else. And they open an exchange in downtown New York.
They tear it down because it's technology, and technology is always scary to older people and people who understand it.
The thing about technology, I mean, there's a lot of things about technology that are concerning a lot of people. I mean, technology has gotten so advanced over the past 15, 20 years.
Yeah.
Well, I think the thing about cryptocurrency is that I think it's clearly a bubble in a sense, like and it's kind of burst. I think that's my big problem with it. It's clearly there are lots of people who don't understand it, who think it is the next gold rush, and they spent all their fortunes on it, and now they're kind of literally out of house.
Well, isn't it?
It will be
based on speculation now as the actual value of the mining.
Guys, iOS 12 comes out tomorrow.
Who?
iOS 12 is coming out tomorrow?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Should I upgrade it?
Oh, boy.
What the hell cares about iOS?
Just phone.
The iOS train's about to go off again.
I have an iPhone.
News stories of how this has broken my iPhone in some way.
Tomorrow, don't open YouTube because it will be everything about iOS 12.
Oh, I do have a question.
Should I upgrade or should I keep my jailbreak?
Keep jailbreak.
Yeah, definitely.
The thing about here's the thing, Pizza. I would just stick with with the jailbreak you have, because jailbreaking jailbreaking an iPhone has gotten so freaking easy over the past couple of years. It's not even funny.
What are your thoughts on the update, Rocco?
How old is your phone?
So we never did finish the whole KD Gnome conversation.
Yeah, exactly. This has turned into Apple Hour. We went from this is just depressing news about the EU to
topics. Well, do you have any cool news you want to show us so we can talk about that? So just don't we talk about Apple?
Welcome to the Apple News Hour.
Well, what happens is Apple will release an OS. Every YouTuber will be, Apple fanboy will be rating it. And then about a week later, there'll be another YouTuber's coming out and saying, oh, this has been broken. And that seems to be rinse and repeat every time they release an OS for the iPhone.
I'm going to get I'm thinking about buying a Google Pixel refurbished on Amazon.
I think that's a great idea, actually. I think that's
the thing about Android, the thing about Android Pizza is Android, you can do a lot more with Android than you can do with iOS.
Yeah, I would take a Google Pixel over a MacBook any day, to be honest.
Because the thing about Android Pizza, the thing about Android Pizza is it is very easy to root Android, and once you root Android, you can literally do anything with it. You can install another operating system on top of it, and also, if you want, you can install some applications that are not even available in any other store.
Yeah, like actually, I rooted and I installed this app called Linux Deploy, and it let me run it because I ran Android on my laptop for a while. And using Linux Deploy, I was able to get GIMP in LibreOffice on Android.
Oh, nice. If you do decide to go for a Google Pixel Pizza, have you ever thought of trying any one of those mobile operating systems like Lineage or any one of those?
Plasma Mobile looks good to me. However, I'm worried
Plasma
about
Mobile. Ooh, that's good. Katie.
I'm worried about app support though, because Linux, most apps are written for 32-bit and 64-bit processors, not written with ARM in mind.
ARM is also 64-bit. You're probably thinking of x86.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah, because most systems that use Linux are actually x86, and that's why most write x86.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
But at the end of it, it's just a compilation. If you get the code, you probably will be able to compile it for ARM.
Yeah.
I think.
Well, you've got things like Raspberry Pi, which is an ARM-based system that has a fully fledged Debian
I think I'm
install.
going to use Resurrection Remix on it.
What's Resurrection Remix?
It's a OS for mobile phones, it's kind of like Lineage, except it's a lot more customizable.
Is it Linux based?
I don't know.
Probably Android based.
Well, Android is it is Android based.
Okay, so basically it's just Android, but without all the Google stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, a lot of Android is open source. The code's out there, so.
Yeah.
The other one I'm considering though is Bliss OS. That's the version of Android.
Oh, I've heard of that one. Bliss OS is good.
I made a tutorial on how to install it, and it's my third most viewed video.
Another one I would suggest you look into is Phoenix OS.
I looked at it, but it's made in China, which means it doesn't have the Play Store, which means
true,
it's really hard to install apps.
Yeah.
And I have an issue when I was installing it, where for whatever reason I could only type in Chinese.
Yeah, that's a deal breaker for me. If
it took me like I had to reinstall it twice to fix it.
Well, when I used Phoenix OS, I could type in English, no problem.
I never could get Phoenix OS to work for me. I tried it a few months back and I couldn't get it to.
I mean, there's Remix OS. I've tested Remix OS before. That one's.
Cypher OS is good.
One more topic for you guys. Any of you guys, have you guys been playing with Steam Play at all? Have you guys been testing those games?
I got Swords and Sauce working, and at first I was like, man, this runs a lot better than it did on Windows. But then I realized that I upgraded my hardware after I switched to Linux. So then I ran it on Windows, and it ran like at 200 frames per second instead of 50. 50 on low.
So you got 200 on Windows and 50 on Linux? Is that what you were saying? Yeah, that seems to be the common issue a lot of people report, is that some of their games don't get the frames per second.
That can be a driver issue though, depending on your video card.
Yeah, I have an NVIDIA 970, but then I also have a Pentium processor, which basically bottlenecks my entire system.
You have to be using the latest drivers.
Yeah, you need you need the latest drivers as well.
The first thing I do when I install Linux on any distro is install drivers. So
yeah. Well, also Pizza, NVIDIA and Linux have a common history. Linux hasn't had very good in support for NVIDIA for a little while now. I mean, AMD is taken off like a rocket, though.
Yeah.
It's because the drivers are proprietary.
Processor.
Derek, thanks for letting me join. I'm going to be now trying to get Integrates to work.
All right, Murray. Thanks for stopping by.
Oh, before I forget, everybody that's in the chat right now, smash the like button and support everybody here. Great content from everybody.
Okay.
Thank you.
One issue I had with the Steam Play is when I have the Patreon engine engaged in Steam, my Steam native games that run through Steam will take forever to launch.
Yeah. Well,
I have to disable it if I want to play American Truck Simulator or something like that.
Well, I tried Steam. I tried to get Steam Play working a few weeks ago. I tried to get one particular game that I've been trying to run, that I ran on Windows for a little while on it, and the game would not run at all.
Ouch.
Yeah, Rocco, any Windows games you've tried in Steam Play?
Well, all of the Call of Duty games work in Steam Play.
Wait,
So,
even the new ones?
Okay.
I won't say World War III, or not World War III. What is it? World War II. I won't say that one, but the up to Advanced Warfare, all of them work without any problem.
Oh, does Black Ops work?
Black Ops does work, yes.
Yep. Cool.
I'm pretty sure if the very first Black Ops game works, then the others will work as well.
I was highly disappointed to see that Middle-earth Shadow of War does not work yet.
Yeah.
Just saying.
And the Call of Duty games, I know the Call of Duty games did work kind of well in Wine anyway, so it kind of makes sense that they would be okay with the Proton wrapper.
And the thing about Proton, with all these bug fix reports coming in, they'll be able to fix Proton very easily to make it even more compatible with more games.
Yeah, Valve being behind it, like Wine is just an open source project backed by a bunch of nerds.
Yeah.
And a little bit of crossover.
Yeah, because the thing about Proton is it's not 100% Wine. It has a part of Wine. It has a part of Wine in it, but it has other things too, like Vulkan.
DXVK is the main thing in it, because it's basically a translation layer between DirectX and Vulkan.
Mm-hmm.
So it changes all DirectX code to Vulkan code in the real time.
Yeah.
But mostly what I've been finding is, not specifically to Call of Duty, but a lot of the older games have zero problems running with Steam Play. The newer games still
it's going to be the newer.
Yeah. Has anybody tried any of the Civilization games?
No, I've never played Civilization in my life.
I've got actually Civilization 5, I think, but that's native to Linux anyway, so I'm not using it.
In the chat, I posted a link to the Steam Play compatibility report. That's a website where you can basically look up any game and it'll tell you, it'll show you kind of like the old the Wine HQ website where they give you platinum, gold, silver, bronze ratings and tell you what games people are having success with. And
the one thing about Wine, though, aside from Proton, the thing about Wine itself is Wine itself has got an update from Wine HQ as of recently to a new version, and I think if they keep updating just straight Wine itself, it will get more compatible with more things over the next few years.
Yeah.
The thing about Wine, yes, a lot of things don't work, but it does have the potential to do good. It really does.
Well, ultimately, Valve's goal here is to make every single game available on Steam.
Yeah,
playable on every OS on the planet. They're going to make it be. You're going to be able to play every game on Linux, Mac, Windows, Chrome OS eventually. I mean, that's where they're going.
But not BSD. Nobody cares about it.
I was speaking to a friend about Steam Play, and he said he foresees one issue with this, actually, and that'll be that developers might not actually develop for Linux at all if they know that they can make the Windows version that will run through the Proton.
Well, I was thinking the same thing about companies like Feral. Feral Interactive is always working on games to port to Linux. What happens to those if most of them will come out and work?
Exactly. There's not going to be Linux native versions.
I think they said they're reporting Proton users as Linux users.
Yeah, everybody that's using Proton will be reported as Linux as their operating system. So the manufacturers will know that there's a certain percentage of us using Linux for their game. So if there's enough of us, maybe they'll actually make a Linux port.
So basically, I won't really care. To be fair, whether long as their game runs, they don't care whether it was native to whichever platform. So even if they make it all for the Windows platform, if it runs on Linux, they're going to be happy anyway.
Yeah, and honestly, I'd probably be happy too. I mean, if it's a Windows-only game, but it runs 100% on Linux using Proton, I don't care if there's not a Linux port.
They won't really care that it was using the code that was originally based for Windows.
Right.
If it runs as well as it runs on Windows,
Yeah.
Yes,
Sorry,
but
Brian?
people have been reporting FPS, not as much FPS. But how I would settle for if I was getting 200 FPS on Windows, I would settle for 80 on a Linux to play it on Linux. I mean, how much FPS do you really need anyway? I mean,
To be honest, anything above 60, really.
right? That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, as long as it's not going to lag out or the FPS is not going to drop hard,
Not really.
I would settle for a lower FPS to play it on Linux.
Yeah, absolutely.
I personally not, because I have a high-end screen, so I need a high-end FPS.
Yeah.
But
Also,
again, shitty computer now, so no. Actually, even I'm waiting with Steam Play. I'm waiting for the new hardware to arrive, my laptop.
Yeah. And none of us are competitive gamers, other than Rocco.
No.
I'm
Yeah, and I'm not even a gamer.
One of my
Rocco just relies on aimbots.
You
One
don't
of
have
my-
to be a competitor to have an aimbot, dude. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
One of my favorite games of all time, and I played this on my Windows machine all the time. Unreal Tournament.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now the thing is,
And
this
I'm,
is something.
I'm not talking about the new Unreal Tournament. I'm talking about the very first.
Yeah, the
Unreal
99 edition.
1999. Because
Now,
when I was
going on
little,
that,
I played that all the time.
Did you know there's actually a native version of Unreal Tournament 99
for Linux?
Yes.
There's a flat
way
pack
back
for it.
when there
Yeah,
was
there was,
a low-key installer for it a long time ago.
Is that does that installer still exist?
I think it does. Let's have a look.
Yeah, there's a flat pack for it. You can just download it from FlatHub.
Oh, okay.
Pretty
So
sure that came out. Yeah.
because the thing about the original Unreal Tournament 99 is after 20 plus years, get this, people, their servers are still active.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Still playable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a lot of people actually prefer some of these older games to, some of the newer games, to be honest.
I mean,
Quake 3 servers still around.
yeah, Quake 2 is still running.
The original Quake is still an awesome game, to be honest.
It is.
Yeah, I do like the original.
I would love to see if Quake 1 would ever get a remake. I think it would look gorgeous in HD.
Where's the chatter here? There it is.
No. Quake with a 3D FX card, that was a sort to behold back in the day.
3DFX, that was a good company. It's a shame that 3DFX went out of business, because if they were still around, they would be still kicking butt.
You know what? I really love, what is it? Open Arena, which was the open source Quake.
I've heard of it.
It's a really nice game. I mean, it's kind of dated now. I mean, it's based on the old Quake engine, but you know what? I really like it. It's not bad as far as the gameplay.
You tried Xenotic, Derek?
Yeah, I have. I played Xenotic. Yeah.
What's a Xenotic?
Crazy. That's what it is.
It's crazy fast. It is a super high speed first person shooter. So.
It's really good. You don't need to install it. You just unpack it and run it.
Just recently, a 20-year-old video game that hasn't been re-released got a re-release recently. Forsaken got re-released.
Oh yes, I heard about that.
Yeah, Forsaken got re-released. It's now in HD and has better multiplayer compatibility.
There's still one game actually, and was one of the reasons why I installed Linux was to play Birth of the Federation, because you can't get it working in anything less than Windows 98, even using compatibility mode. So.
Well, guys, I'm gonna wrap up the stream here in a couple of minutes.
Okay.
Because
All
at
right.
noon the Saints kick off, and I have to be there for that. So,
all right.
Let's get everybody to get a last
everything.
word in here. So, Dan, any final thoughts, sir?
Oh, thanks for letting me join. It's been fun. Been good
this was
conversation.
fun. Yeah, got my coffee. I'm glad we got to chat a little bit this morning. This was fun. Big Pod, last words.
Yeah, thanks for the chat, and all remember that even Windows, even Linux, everyone tracks us.
Yeah, on the internet, yeah, your
Information is
ISP.
currency. Information is currency.
All I gotta say is it doesn't matter what disk or operating system on. As soon as you get on the internet, you are literally giving up your privacy.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Hell,
What's in
when you
arms?
step out the house, you give up your privacy.
You got any last words, Alistair?
I do. Yeah, thanks for the stream. It's been fun. We've had quite a good conversation today with a lot of different topics. It's been quite cool.
Yeah,
Very
yeah.
good
Thanks
to-
for stopping by, and
You're very welcome.
keep making those videos too, Alistair, on
I
your
will do.
channel.
I will do.
Yeah, appreciate that. All
Start
right,
making
Climby.
a few more.
I'm gonna be putting some Linux News Tuesday videos up Tuesday, so if people want to check me out, you can find me at Yu-Gi-Oh! Master 88.
That's cool. Climby, you got any last words?
Yeah, it's been really fun as always. Really enjoyed the discussions. I didn't get the input on the GNOME versus KDE. I would probably, if I had to pick now, I would probably say KDE. But yeah, hopefully your Saints will win. They're playing the Browns, so.
Yeah. Well, if they don't win today, I'm not going to watch the rest of the season. So. Dan, last word, sir. Dan K.
Okay. Thanks for having me on the stream. And yeah, I think I'd prefer the KDE over the GNOME myself. And it's been a really good stream. There's been a lot of really good discussion here, and thanks for having me on.
Thanks, Dan. Yeah. Silent Robot.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. It's been a really interesting discussion.
All right, thank you for stopping by.
In terms of KDE, no, KDE every day of the week.
Wow, a lot of KDE fans today. Ricky, any other thoughts?
All I gotta say, it's been a pleasure being on here. I'm hoping we can do more of these.
All right,
Yes.
yeah, well, there'll be more. And Christopher, any last words?
I would say I would prefer KDE over GNOME. Never tried it, but don't have any plans to. Mate's okay. But thanks for the stream. It's pretty good, even though I feel like all I've done is basically send quips, basically.
Yeah, that's all.
Not anything insightful, just quips.
Yeah, but there's a place for that.
Anyway. Okay, yeah, that's true.
Thanks, Christopher. All right, and Oyvind, I hope I pronounced that name right. That's a crazy name. I don't know what that first letter in your name is, but I like the name. Last words.
It's not actually Eyvind. You
Eyvind.
pronounce?
Eyvind.
Yes.
I'll try to remember that next time. All right. Last words, sir.
Yeah, no, it was really nice listening, and I'll be back the next time as well.
No,
Maybe.
thank you. Yep. Yeah, come back and see us.
Okay.
Yep. Stephen, last words.
Neither GNOME or KDE. I'm an SFC guy. I got a friend that's on Peppermint now, and I'm realizing as he's asking me questions how much I have learned over the last couple of years, and it's been pretty cool.
Cool. Rocco.
I personally prefer iFree over them all, but
Well, yeah.
just want to
Open box, really. I mean, but
Arch Knife.
Rocco, last words.
Thanks for everything you do, Derek, in the community, hosting the streams. Much
All right,
appreciated.
All right. Good to see you.
And-
Everybody check out Rocco at Big Daddy Linux, too, every Saturday night.
Yep.
GNOME and KDE. I
Yeah,
love both, but I'm currently on KDE.
Wow. You know, if there was one person that was going to go GNOME, I thought it would be Rocco. This is a landslide. All right.
Okay, I guess I'm alone.
All right, Wraith.
When it comes down to the GNOME and KDE thing, again, I've said I was KDE earlier,
Yeah.
so I don't want to say
it's-
keep up the good work as well with the videos, and everyone in the chat should like and subscribe to you because you're doing a fantastic job.
All right.
Yeah.
Appreciate you.
Echo that sentiment.
And what is it? Kaizoku? Is that the correct pronunciation? You there? He may or may not be. We haven't heard from him in a bit. He may be AFK.
His last word is hit the like button.
Actually, his last word was GNOME. GNOME is so much better than Plasma.
Is that what his
That's not that's what he was gonna
Derek, I wanted to tell you, it does help when you post up. You're going to do a link. I seen that last night, and it gets across a lot
wider if you do it sooner.
Yeah.
Right.
So it
Yeah.
does help, but I
Right.
saw yesterday that you put your notification out.
Well, I have a little bit more of a regular schedule as far as my work schedule now, so I'm able to give you guys a heads up, where before I never knew what I was doing like that day. So I didn't know if I'd be at home, if I had any time. So if I had an hour or two to stream, I'd just start streaming, and I really couldn't give you guys a heads up. Some of that.
The notifications don't hardly work at all, but I can go down my subscribe channel thing on the side of YouTube, and he's going to stream tomorrow.
Yeah, yeah. But my Sundays are usually free, so I may try to, keep doing some of these Sunday chats, because these are fun,
They're awesome.
Nice, relaxing
Yeah,
day.
I like these.
Everyone needs
Right.
to ditch Twitter and get on Mastodon. That's another thing I'll say.
Yeah. And of course, I need to give my last words here before I kill the stream. The show's made possible by the good ladies and gentlemen you see on the screen, my Patreon
Yep.
supporters, of course, the producers, Ansem, Carlos, David, Leor, and Rob. Those guys rock. They are the reason this show is possible. Peace, guys.
All right.
See you later.
All right.
Thank you, everybody.
All right.
Yep.
Ugh.